and I noticed the words right there, and I literally just froze.
Kyle Hughes shows where on his car he found the N-word and the word die etched in snow in December 2016.
I'm not sure if I felt ashamed, if I felt afraid, concerned, angry, upset.
It was one of 2 times he reported a hate crime to Hamilton police. Still, he's surprised his city's rate of police-reported hate crimes is more than 3 times the national average.
That boggles my mind hearing that.
Police departments in Canada track the number of hate incidents, but CBC News has learned they're not all on the same page with what qualifies as a hate crime. For instance, Edmonton police and several others we surveyed don't specifically include gender identity in their definitions. In Thunder Bay and 3 others, the language includes victims perceived to be part of a protected group. So if someone is attacked for being Muslim but is in fact not, that is still counted as a hate crime. And Quebec's provincial police doesn't have a formal definition at all.
One word difference could make a significant change in this.
Former hate crime investigator Stephen Camp believes the data doesn't show how high the numbers in Canada really are.
That equals insufficient resourcing and insufficient policies and legislation.
He says Canada needs a universal hate crime definition and believes it needs to be a specific charge in the criminal code, not just a factor in sentencing as it is now.
And that can cause fractures between law enforcement and the public when they feel it's a hate crime when it's not, or for example, when it is a hate crime, police don't identify it as a hate crime.
On this upper part of the door.
No one was ever arrested for the slur left on his car.
It's not an easy feeling.
Hughes says as a man who is black and gay, he worries he's a target for hate, even when he's simply walking downtown.
Because literally every time I'm down here, I'm always looking over my shoulder.
So, Chris, I gather you reached out to the federal parties about this. What did they say?
They all say that this is a problem that they want to take a close look at. And the NDP and the Greens go one step further. They say if elected, they'd commit to creating a universal definition for police forces in this country when it comes to hate crimes.
So I get the issues with data collection problems and classification, but still, when you're talking about Hamilton, you're still looking at 3 times the national average. Something has to be happening.
What we found is that Hamilton is a city that is struggling to find a balance between free speech and hate speech. And the problems and what we're seeing in Hamilton is a cautionary tale for other Canadian cities as they also try to decipher when political arguments turn deeply personal.
I define Nazis as people that try to whip up hatred.
This is Hamilton, week after week for months. Shouting matches filling the city's streets with hate.
These people have nothing to do with our city. We say immigrants in, Nazis out.
And local officials accused of not going far enough to condemn it.
I can't just let them go unopposed. And ignoring them made it worse. More of them showed up. You could see they're coming from other cities. They're importing hate.
You are openly promoting sin.
You should be disgusted. We don't believe in gay supremacy. You're full of hatred yourself.
The boiling point, Pride, this past June. Violence between anti-gay protesters and the LGBTQ community. Anticipating the attack, some on both sides came ready for a fight. Police were accused of letting this play out. It wasn't until 10 days later that anyone was charged with assault.
I am humiliated. I am horrified. It's crushing.
All these months later, the former head of Pride, Lila Miklos, can't bear to watch the attack.
Nah, no more. No more.
She says that day was a turning point for the LGBTQ community, who believe police can no longer be trusted to protect them.
You're bigots against the Bible. You're bigots against God.
I don't like walking around like I'm a victim 24/7, but that's how you feel. You feel like there's a target on your back and there aren't going to be people coming to help you who should be coming to help you.
Police Chief Eric Gert argues unless free speech laws change, his officers are handcuffed. But it was a controversial example he used recently to make his point that shocked many here. This is him speaking on a local radio show.
We've had recent amendments to the criminal code that have finally removed anal intercourse as a prohibited activity. Finally, and that's after years and years of petitioning. So when you have consenting adults who engaged, it was fine. If you have conditions where you've got a youth involved or other, that's a whole other ball of wax. One is by the OIPRD, so they'll have to
2 days later, he apologized.
Do you feel like you're helping or hurting the relations between police and the LGBTQ community?
Our intent is to move the dialogue forward. We understand the hurt to this community. It's the reason I apologize for the comments. I'm not looking to hurt the community anymore, and we want to move in a positive direction.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Michael DeMille, and I live and work in Hamilton.
A rare chance to voice the pain of months of feeling targeted.
Chief Gert evoked the most harmful, damaging, and offensive stereotypes that have been used throughout history to persecute, demonize, humiliate, imprison, murder, torture, deny housing and employment, and deny basic human rights to gay and lesbian people.
Thank you, sir, for your deputation. Much appreciated.
That is Hamilton's mayor, Fred Eisenberger.
But he's in my country. And he just said, Canada.
His council has been exploring legal options for removing the protesters, but so far, nothing's changed. Garnering thank yous from some who defend their views as free speech.
Silence equals death! Silence equals death!
And condemnation from those who say the mayor's allowing hate speech.
Shame on all of you.
I mentioned that you were going to be removed from here.
Sorry, Mr.
You're actually saying
something now.
Thank you.
You're
Pardon me?
so f***ing silent.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay.
So silent.
Could you please stop? We'll stop the council meeting. We will vacate the government.
Mr. Mayor.
When pressed about who or what he's against, the mayor refuses to get specific.
So, I denounce all hate groups and anyone that acts out violently that is, targeting individuals in terms of violence or hate. We denounce them all. I'm not categorizing one group against another. Never have done that, and won't ever do that. We'll denounce them all, and we'll work against them all, and we'll try to support the organizations that are targets of those kinds of issues. And thank you all very much for this lovely interview. Thanks. Cheers.
Well, I think that Hamilton community members have heard way too many statements that seem very much like about both sides and establishing dialogue, and not near enough statements about hate is not acceptable here. These protesters don't represent my views. These are very dangerous, and that we need to take them very seriously. There are people who are paying closer
McMaster University sociologist Tina Fettner studies hate groups. She says civic leaders must pointedly call out hate early and often.
I think it's very important for Hamilton to be a cautionary tale for other cities. I'm very certain that this is going to be knocking at the door of other cities across Canada.
As if to prove how emboldened all sides are now, an elderly woman was shouted at and blocked, just trying to get into a People's Party of Canada event. The latest example in Hamilton of how quickly hateful voices can fill a void.
And the fallout from that incident, Adrian, has been big. One of the people who was seen blocking that woman is the son of restaurant owners here in Toronto. And they say they got death threats and actually closed up shop, but they're hopeful they'll be able to reopen. Toronto police, meanwhile, have spent some part of this afternoon handing out anti-hate leaflets. Clearly, they're taking this very seriously.
All right, Chris, thanks very much.
Thanks.